This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks.
That is fire.
Whoa, that's good.
This might be the drink of the summer.
Okay, I like this one too. I'm rocking with it. Okay.
Try it for yourself. Starbucks Refreshers Concentrates are coming home. Find them in the coffee aisle and make it yours.
Welcome to the Interviews Podcast. Welcome, Interisti, to episode 207 of the Interviews Podcast. We are here for Team of the Season, awards, end of season wrap up. Obviously, we didn't put out episodes for the last two games of the year because, frankly, they were a little bit boring. Not much to play for, and not much that we could really use. So I think after what was a hard season for both Johnny and I, it was good to take a little break. And that's what we've done. You guys have noticed that I have been off of Twitter since like the middle of May. That was very intentional. I've had a lot to deal with in personal and professional life, so I've taken a step back from the social media and just focusing on other things. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I will announce my return, and we'll be picking things up prior to the World Cup starting this week on Friday. As always, I'm one half your co-hosting duo, Alessandro Rafa, joined here by Gianni Paterno. Gianni, you haven't taken a break from social media. How's the start of the Mercato season been treating you?
I mean, it's been okay, right? We saw the rumors that have come out for certain players. I kind of want deals just to get done already. Fortunately for us on the Palestra front, he's not going to be at the World Cup, so we don't have to worry about teams gaining interest on him. But it is good for, just for us to have a little bit of a break to kind of, flirt with some of these rumors. It's funny, like I've kind of gone with the mindset where it's like, I'm going to believe the rumors I do like and not believe the rumors I don't like. I'm just going to go with that. That's going to be my mindset for the whole Mercato. Yeah.
That's one of the ways to go about this thing. And it's too early for me to like start having my breakdowns. So I feel like the break that I took has come at the right time, but that doesn't, despite the fact that, maybe Interviews has been a little less active before the start of the World Cup, things are going to ramp up, obviously. And that also doesn't mean that there's not been a ton that has already taken place. We're going to do awards, but very, very quickly. This isn't going to be a Mercato pod, but we are going to just quickly touch on a few things that have to be touched on. Also, for those that didn't see, today, our boy Christian Eriksen suffered another incident on the pitch during a friendly. I forget exactly who it was against, Denmark versus Ukraine. It looks like he's okay. It looks like
thankfully,
yeah. It from what it sounds like, from what the head trainer has said, that his pacemaker actually kicked into gear. So there was some sort of arrhythmia or something that alerted the pacemaker, and it goes off. When it does that, it feels like you got hit in this. I'm not saying this from personal experience so far, but what they say is that it feels like you got hit in the chest with a bullet. So he goes down, but he's conscious. He's in the hospital. It's a really scary thing. I mean, obviously, he wasn't ready for his football career to be taken from him. Gets back on there, does what he can to get back out there, and then a second thing like this happens. So you start to wonder, like, whether or not he thinks, like, I'm done with, I don't want this to happen a third. Can you imagine a third collapse?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I'm obviously just thankful that he is okay for his sake, for his family's sake. No children should grow up without a father. And, some things are bigger than the game. I mean, I know it's hard to recognize at times, and I can't imagine being a professional player, right? Well, maybe not physically, but you do feel to a certain extent physically you're not ready to walk away from the game, but your body's telling you something differently. I hope that this is a sign to him and that he takes, I'm not saying he has to make a decision today, tomorrow, obviously, but I do hope that he takes the summer to kind of think about, what is important to him. And hopefully he comes to the conclusion that, it's okay to hang up the boots. You had a phenomenal career. You are, considered a world-class player, probably going to be the streets will never forget, kind of player. And it's okay to step away. You won titles in Italy and Ajax, not so much in England, but it's you had a tremendous career. You will always be revered by fans at Inter. So I think just sail off into the sunset, man.
Yeah, I don't know that he has really much that he should be proving for the rest of his career.
Nothing.
You don't really see Denmark competing for a World Cup, and it is kind of the situation that it is. So, you just hope for his health, which it seems like he's okay for the time being. Alrighty, pretty big deal, this departure that we've seen from Inter, a veteran in the team, an important piece to the success that Inter has had in the last several years. The replacement for Hakimi, Denzel Dumfries, comes in on a $13 million deal, and I think he, at the end of the day, despite the fact that we saw limitations in his game from a technical perspective, at the end of the day, he was a warrior for Inter out on the pitch. Denzel Dumfries departs the team. Real Madrid exercising that, what it seems like it was actually lower than the 25 million reported, around 20 million release clause. It's not been officially announced yet, but that is a done deal. Denzel Dumfries to Real Madrid. Thoughts, initial just takeaway?
Yeah, look, I mean, when you think back of how he was the only one to address the fans in the Champions League final when we lost 5-0, the apologies, that is something that I think made me appreciate him more. Obviously the first, I'd say 2 years were a little tumultuous. He was criticized, and rightfully so. He wasn't really playing well, and suddenly something clicked, and it's like, he became a much more confident attacking player, much more assertive. Definitely had some good challenging, moments with Theo, which were memorable, of course. And the guy scored massive goals for us. You look at the Barcelona tie away, that was a big, almost like a breakout game for him in a sense. In terms of coming up big is what I would say there. And
on the world stage.
Yeah, and leaves with a domestic double, leaves the right way, not under any nonsense or fighting within the locker room and having issues with play. None of that. He had the right attitude always, and he was a mentality monster. I think we've said it on here. Other fans have said it on Twitter, on other podcasts and stuff. The guy is just he's got a winner's mentality always, and I don't think Madrid fans understand the type of player that they're getting. I think
it does not seem like it.
It doesn't.
They don't know.
They don't know. They think they really are getting another Maicon. And just because a certain Swedish journalist may have said something along the lines of Maicon vibes, that this is not Maicon vibes. So I hope they understand that. But they are going to get someone who is going to give everything for the colors. And he's going to do everything to win. He wants to win. And if he is playing poorly, you're not going to see it on his face. You're not going to see it in his body language. He is still going to fight, and he's going to be definitely missed. It makes the Palestra signing even more important for us. That has to happen, but regardless, he will be a player that we will definitely miss. And I'm happy that he. Listen, this is something that he wants, and to think, he went from playing second division football in Holland to now, winning multiple titles at Inter, and now moving to arguably the biggest club in the world. This is huge for him, and it is deserved, really.
Yeah. There was a lot there that you said that I want to touch on. Firstly, you mentioned going about it the right way. He renewed his contract in a way that allowed him to have like one final big move in his career, but also ensuring that Inter doesn't, get left with nothing, right? With this release clause like that. I can respect that. I don't think he disrespected the Nerazzurri at all.
Nope.
The way that this process was gone about. You heard about the changes in agents and all this stuff, but he had mentioned in interviews a desire to try a different league, which you don't like kill the player for that, especially when the attitude on the pitch was a huge reason why at the end of the day, despite the frustrations with, like we mentioned, technically limited and stuff like that, Interisi should only have positive feelings about this player. He gave absolutely everything on the pitch. And to that point, where you say mentality monster, we start to look ahead. We start to think about replacing this player. And the way that I look at it is like, from a scouting perspective, it's not hard to replace some of the characteristics. In fact, you can do better with some of the things. Like you can get a player that is more willing to take his man on, faster, more technically gifted,
better dribbler,
Right. And you can find another athlete, but the stuff that's going to be really hard to replace is the intangibles. That, again, that mentality that you see when he takes the pitch and, the absolute desire to win these games and get stuck in. So if you shift to Palestra, I think it's very, very obvious that you can find a player who's effective in different ways and probably can be even more effective on that flank. But it also makes you think like just how important it is to have the other senators in the locker room, because if you lose a Dumfries, like you need to be able to transmit to Palestra, hey, now you have to develop a top club kind of mentality with Dumfries on the way out. It's not just about your skills and your ability on the pitch. So let's shift over to Palestra. Inter has submitted an initial offer around 40 million euros for Palestra. Atalanta says, it's got to start with a 5. Everyone is reporting on this. Romano, Pedula, Di Marzio, everyone is in on these conversations. There seems to be a level of confidence that they will go ahead and be able to get this done. I don't feel that specifically for one reason, negotiating with Atalanta. If you have the player's desire, he doesn't want to go to Newcastle, you worry if Man City comes in, but I just don't trust the Percassi family like at all. There's a different price for the foreign teams versus the Italian teams. I don't know if they're going to jump in on this, like, youth player exchange situation. We've seen Cocchi's name be brought up. What's your confidence level in Palestra being the guy that eventually replaces Dumfries?
Yeah, I mean, when you see reports already of cheaper alternatives being thrown out there, specifically Dodo at Fiorentina, it doesn't make me feel good. I feel like that this is a player that you have to get it done. You have to. Like, this is not something where you can, try to listen. I'm okay going up to 45 with bonuses, and you throw in Cocchi. I really don't have a problem with that. Like, let's be honest, the chances of him developing into something better than Di Marco, even let alone Palestra, are slim. You don't see that left foot. You never saw it really with Primavera. You never saw it with the U23 team. So it's like I'm okay letting him go to Atalanta and whatever. You don't even have to put a buyback clause on him. I don't think that's going to be something. I think that at the end of the day, it will get done. I think it's going to be dragged out longer than we like, to be honest. We would want him to be with the team in Australia for the preseason, and being, getting acclimated. Like you said, you want people who are going to be able to come alongside him and kind of let him know what the expectations are. I think you still have that with Barella and Lautaro there. I think that they're going to be the right guys to, essentially get him to understand what it means to wear the colors. I don't want Dodo. And if Palestra is not the answer, right? We don't end up. The only name that I really want is Coyote. Like, I am a big
I saw
Coyote
that.
fan at Brentford. Some people threw out Doué from, I think, Strasbourg. I forget.
Chuela, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
I think we're going to be priced out of him anyway, to be honest, compared to Coyote. But I also don't. I've only seen literally one game of him play, and I didn't see anything that really excited me or made me think like he would be the guy that we should be targeting. But listen,
he's
go ahead.
very poor defensively. Very,
See,
very
and
poor.
I can't see. I don't want to like say like, oh, I think that. So I'll trust you with that. From what I saw, nothing stood out to me.
Complete
At least
non-factor on the set pieces. Like he's not a well-rounded player. He's got a skill, and that's it.
At least when I saw Dumfries at the Euros before we bought him, I saw things that I did like. Things that kind of excited me. Granted, I saw him over the whole Euros and did like it, but I'm only going off of one game where I watched Doué. So I have seen Coyote play. I liked him at Fiorentina. I've liked him at Brentford. I do think that he would do well. Dan and Doy, people talk about. The only thing that kind of gives me hesitation with him is he's not really a wing back. He's a winger. Yeah. And granted, yes, Perisic was able to change his game. I don't know if Dan and Doy wants to do that. And even though he's done it for the Swiss national team, will he want to do it at club level? I don't really know. But yeah, to me, Coyote is the only alternative where I'd be like, all right, it's not the guy I really wanted, but that is like a good alternative.
Yeah. My, on whether or not this deal gets done, I have a hard time seeing them go to 50 up front. Like, I feel like if it goes over 50, it's going to be, with bonuses and stuff like that. You see reports that Morata has to, get Oak Tree's blessing and stuff like that. You get concerned with if they do go over 50, are they doing it because they know that there's an offer on the table for a player that just returned to the club where this thing is not going to hurt? And we'll get into that as well in a second.
You better stop already.
So, I'll say my confidence level is probably like at 58% that this gets done.
That is so specific. I actually love it.
Yeah.
58%. Okay.
60 feels like too much. Do you, as far as I feel like a big topic of conversation has been the actual valuation of the player. Do you think that that's off?
So this is, I got into a disagreement with somebody on Twitter about this, and they were saying like, oh, we're paying more than we paid for Hakimi. No, we're really not. It's, you look at inflation, you look at the market. That is kind of what the market dictates. I think you're paying kind of what he is worth. Like, realistically, if you look at this player 20 years ago, that's probably a $30-35 million player. So if you're paying 50, you're not really paying more, in my opinion. So like, I think it is kind of what he's worth. You look at the age of the player. Yes, it was only one breakout season, and it was at Cagliari. There really isn't a lot of pressure. And maybe it'll be a different, scenario at Inter, but I think he's easily worth, the money. And you got 20 million in, right? You had different numbers were thrown out of what was going to be the budget, and other stuff would have to, if we want to increase it, would have to come from sales. But if you just got 20 million plus whatever your budget, you can stretch a little bit more. I think eventually it'll be 45 plus 5 in bonuses, and maybe they do throw in, Koki. I really do think that's going to be the deal. And if the player actually does push for it, I think that'll help our case as well. You don't want a disgruntled player. And I know the Percasis are one of the hardest ones to deal with, and they could drive a hard bargain, and they could stick to what it is that they're doing. But I think at the end of the day, the will of the player is gonna help push this along, and it still might be a slow process, but I do think it gets done for that figure.
I think that in today's market, it's not crazy to say, oh, one of the right backs that has the highest potential in the world is at 50 million. For an Italian club, like, that immediately becomes one of the biggest signings in that club's history from a financial standpoint. And I think that like, Palessa is going to have to deal with that all year. Like, they will constantly bring this up, and like, whether or not he's meeting that, that price tag. So he really has to like perform. I don't think it's, great for the youngster to have to deal with those questions, but I also don't think the valuation is like super crazy. I think would prefer like something closer to 40. I think that's reasonable, but 50 shouldn't be too far off. And, also like he would have to perform to a certain level where in order to feel really good about the investment, he has to become like a 70 million euro player, an 80 million euro player. Can he do that? Like, what does that look like numbers wise from the right side? Like, we'll see. If he does like 70% of what DiMarco did as far as goal contributions, like that works.
That pays for
That's
itself right there.
for sure, like without question. So we'll see. I mean, these are the kind of investments that we want Inter to be making, but then you have Auxilio in press conference or whatever it was, a conversation with the media where he says, any important players that come in, there has to be an important sale. That's still the line of the club. So I think 50 million for Palestra is an important signing. So who's the important sale? It switches over to our next topic of conversation. That's the 20 mil is not going to be enough.
That's an important sale, in my opinion.
It's an important sale, but I think when he says important sale, I think he's referring to like the figure. So the figure that is garnering the highest attention right now, there's talk of, before I get into this, by the way, my theory on Dodo's name coming up is not as the Dumfries replacement. I think that name is coming up as the Luis Enrique replacement. I think they're trying to get something done for Luis Enrique, and I think they'd like to combine Palestra Dodo on the right-hand side. That's my take, my thought.
Okay.
So Alexander Stankovic returns to the club. They exercise the 23 million euro option. The player is obviously super excited, but the quotes and the commentary from Marotta and from Auxilio do not inspire confidence. You have Marotta talking about how he's an important asset for the club. We'll see, how he looks like he'll be with the team at the start of preseason. Okay, well that sounds pretty positive. We'll have him for at least the next 4 or 5 weeks here. Auxilio again along the line of like he's an asset. And when you start talking about a player as an asset, you get nervous because what do you do with those assets? Like you probably exchange them for cash. Alexander Stankovic, will he be part of this team next season? Your early thoughts?
I think so. I think it's all just smoke and mirrors, to be honest. I think they're just trying to either see if they could drive up the price. And if it is something that really blows them away, maybe they pull the trigger. But I think the will of the manager is actually also going to matter here. I think that, that he has a personal relationship with the player. He has, coached them at the youth level as well. We saw the work that Kivu was able to do with Pio, what he was able to do. I mean, not that I consider Sucic a youth player, but he is a young player. And the way that he's developed as well. If you have a player like this, given that Hakan is going to be on the last year of his contract, there are talks that he may renew. There are also, we saw with the flirting that the agent is doing with whether it's Fenerbahce, Besiktas.
As long as he's here, that's never going away. As long as he's here.
Yeah, and honestly, like we've talked about it, I do think that he just plays out his contract and eventually just goes to Turkey himself. And if that's the case, you have a ready-made player that you don't have to go and spend. Like, this is the thing that does kind of bother me about Inter. And you even look at last season, right? Like selling Zalewski and then going and buying Luis Enrique. I mean, that made no sense, really. You had a player who actually had a lot of tactical flexibility that could have, played the right, played the left, played as a mezzala. I think that he would have fit the team better. It would have been nice to have him, especially the way he started this season. Granted, he did pick up a couple of injuries and also did fade a little in the second half, but he still performed better than when Luis Enrique was doing so. If you have a player in, there's no need to sell. And the way I look at it, like people are like, oh, 40 million is a lot of money. Well, no, it's not really, because it means you're only making 17 million. Like 23 had to go out to bring him back. So do you think he's just a so you spent $23 million to make $17 million? To me, that's just financially a stupid move then. Like you're really not.
He's one of the best prospects, midfield prospects in Europe.
Without a question. Like you look at the way the fans at Club Brugge are reacting to him leaving and saying like, this is why you don't fall in love with a lone player. Like the way that he fought for the colors was incredible. I wish we could have kept him. Blah, blah, like all that. That's a player that is going to be an incredible asset. I think that he can actually play a big role in this team. And we also listen, Zielinski played a lot of minutes last year and covering for Hakan, who was injured.
Who can still be injured.
Yeah. Like you have him. He not only is capable of stepping into the starting 11, but also performing at a top level. Why would you give that up?
In multiple roles.
Yeah. Like it just makes no sense, especially with how limited, the funds are for this club. There's no reason to sell a player because then you have to look to replace him anyway, essentially.
Yeah.
And it could be as soon as next year. So why do that to yourselves? You're just kicking the can down the road. It makes no sense. I think like it's all just posturing and really Marotta playing 4D chess. We get nervous, but really he's just working behind the scenes and trying to figure things out with other players potentially. We see the flirting with Curtis Jones as well. Not that he plays the same role, but that is a player that could also be an asset. And I think that if you are able to bring in a guy like Curtis Jones and have Alexander Stankovic there, well, now you have guys who could be in the lineup for 4 or 5 years and who would have like a good impact, and you could set yourself up, for the post Hakan, Zilu, even maybe Barella, midfield. So I don't think that he realistically does go anywhere. And I don't think it's me just being hopeful because I'm excited about the player. I do think that because of his relationship with Kivu, because Kivu, and worked with him and clearly does rate the player, why would you sell someone that he knows he could probably, use within his lineup? And with given how, the goal next year apparently seems to be UCL, and to have, hopefully like actually win and compete in that, you're going to need to have players that can actually like rotate. Now, and I'm not saying like the Mkhitaryan's and the Fratesis, like where you rotate. No. Like actual players who could step in and be legitimate starters, even if it is against a Lecce or a Monza or whoever, like, at least that you could let those other normal starters truly rest the entire game because you have talent on the pitch.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, I kind of have a bone to pick with Italian Inter Twitter because it seems like a lot of them are like, yeah, you get a 40 million euro offer, of course you let him go. Like he hasn't done anything. I just don't think you're watching like Club Brugge play at all.
You're clearly not.
That team is a team full of technicians. Like the entire team is highly, highly technically adept. And Alexander was in the team. After playing a year in Switzerland, like he burst his way into the team, became one of their best Champions League performers, like on the European stage. And then was extremely well-rounded. Like, I think people thought he was like more defensive. He scored banger after banger after banger.
Absolutely. And his runs into the box, like the guy knows when to make a run, where to position himself. He is a big target. So like hear me out. He could be that Dumfries replacement in the sense of like making back post runs, being able to get in on the end of crosses, and he is better with his feet than Dumfries. So, whether it's right-footed, left-footed, he is able to get his head onto things. Like that guy could legitimately be an asset. And yes, I agree with you. I feel like people who are like, oh yeah, 40 million, you take it and run. Like, no. You do that if somebody had offered you that money for Fratesi last year. You take that and run because you know how limited that player is. Stankovic is levels above that. And you know what? Like, yes, he is young, but in terms of his technical ability and his really all-around game, he is definitely more complete than his father was, even at this age. And I think that, like,
without question,
we are underestimating. Not we, like, not but like Interisti are underestimating just how good this guy could be for us. And like, it may take a little bit of time, just like Sucic. I'm not saying he's going to step in and be an automatic like lock, but I do think that like if he gets the minutes and is able to, again, be given clear opportunities to play for this team, he will perform for us.
To your point about Sucic was starting for Dinamo Zagreb at 20 years old.
At
Stankovic,
19.
Stankovic starting for Club Brugge at his age is a higher level. Like
Yeah.
he's coming into the team at a higher level than what Sucic was coming into the team at, as far as like his experience, frankly. So, you get excited about that. You also get excited from the perspective of like Kivu in his interviews. He's talking about like continuing to move forward with this modern game, which involves like heavy pressing and like being on the front foot. Like Stankovic is a really good athlete, and like he can harass players. Like he gets stuck in. Like this is kind of a almost tailor-made for what we're looking for, but my confidence is at an all-time low. I know I mentioned the bet stuff, but here's what worries me. The combination of Auxilio again in an interview saying like Curtis Jones, very, very interested. Okay. The interest carried over from January. And it seems like, everyone is talking like they're still trying to move forward with that operation. Okay. That does not push Stankovic out of the midfield. But that operation plus the removal of, renewal for Mkhitaryan does, from a numbers perspective, kind of fuck things up, right?
Yeah.
Because you have, Barella, Jones, Sucic, Mickey, Zielinski, Hakan. That's 6 midfielders. Is Alexander Stankovic, is the best thing for him to do to be... Mickey should be the 7th midfielder, but is
Mickey
that really going to happen?
Be the midfielder. I'm
well,
sorry.
if you have, I understand.
Yes, no, but like there is no reason to extend him. I'm sorry. There is absolutely zero reason to extend him. He offers you nothing. He is a finished player. Like there is no need to give him another year. Like, buddy, I appreciate you. Fine, thank you. You want a domestic double. Sell off into the sunset, man. Go back to Armenia for all I care. Like there is no need for you to take a roster position away from a player who is more impactful, will actually help this team and be able to do things in the press and not just give you 20 good minutes and then that's it. Misplays, passes, can't finish, can't do anything. Like it just makes zero sense. And I get what you're saying and what like in terms of like a numbers thing, like how many, like I don't disagree with that, but it makes no sense to bring him back. And again, to buy a player for 20, like I would have rather you left him and he gets signed, by Newcastle at that point. Then like there's no like to spend 23 million to make 17. It's like, do you realize how dumb that is? Like it just makes no sense from a financial standpoint why you would even do that.
Leave him at Bruges for another year and then exercise it for 25 million next year when maybe he's worth 50 or 60 million. Like
holy cow! And then look at that, you more than double your money. Wouldn't that have made more sense? So like yes, very short-sighted if that ends up being the play. And I will once again, listen, I am still Auxilio out. I don't think that he is the guy like to lead this team into the next era of Inter. And if he honestly does like flip Alexander Stankovic, I will be so mad at him. I really will be. Like I just think that this guy is tailor-made for this. He understands the weight of wearing this kit. Like he grew up around it. He was on the pitch for the UCL final at the end with his father. Like the Inter DNA runs through him. It runs through Dimash, Barella, Bastoni. Like Uncle Sharma said, even Lautaro to an extent. Like these are the players that you want to build your club. PO2, like these are the guys that you want to build Inter around. And I'm okay, like, if you, move pieces around on the outsides, if you replace certain players, certain guys come and go, fine. But if you're able to have like a solid 3 or 4 player of, Inter core, that's the way to do it. And to flip a player like Alexander, it makes no sense. And look, I mean, I'm still hopeful that we somehow, it looks like Provedel is probably going to be done as the backup, but like I would actually still be like excited about the potential of Philippe coming back. And then you have, both brothers at the club, playing and being a part of it, and like just how special a moment that would actually be for Dejan, to see his kids together, maybe at a Coppa Italia match. Like, who knows? Like, it would be really special. But that's just me being wishful thinking and romantic about it. But I do think, regardless, you have to keep, Alexander and let him be a part of this team going forward.
I agree. All right, so we did a half hour. I think I want to briefly touch on two more things. We can talk about a lot. Obviously, there's, the status of the Mickey and De Vrij renewals. You have the goalkeeper situation. You brought up Provedel. But I want to talk about two things, and then we'll move on to the Inter Awards and the Serie A team of the season quickly. I'm bringing up this one because Auxilio mentioned this. We are going to make a signing in defense, and it's going to be by the time training camp starts. The interest, the deal for Muaremovic, which seemed wrapped up, has now completely cooled, and the focus seems to be on Omar Solet from Udinese, formerly of RB Salzburg. For me, Solet is right now twice the player Muaremovic is.
Without a question.
I want Solet on this team next year for so many different reasons. He's more versatile, can play all across the back three. From an athletic standpoint, he's an absolute monster, raises the technical level of your team. He's been incredibly good since he's been in Serie A. I think he would be a huge coup. He's 26 years old. I think his quality outweighs the 25 million euro price tag that's being talked about. I really want to get Solet done.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I even tweeted there is Tottenham are apparently going to try to move, Luka Vuskovic, and I was just like, that's the player. Like, if you're going to shift from Muharemovic, that's the one that you go for. If you're, if you end up, trying to get two center backs, I'm saying, obviously I want Solet as well. I think the price is fantastic, especially of a player at that age who is just going to be hitting his peak. That is just a no-brainer in my opinion. And like you said, the fact that he could play across the entire back line is massive. But if I was like going to let's say we weren't able to get Solet for whatever reason, if you are going to go after a young center back, that would be
Vuskovic is up there.
And they're talking about 40, 45 million, which I don't think is like too insane of a price for him. I guess it would be 50 million euros because that's like 40 or 45 million pounds. But even still, for a 19 going on 20 who is like a man already, like he's built to play, it would be, it would be a dream signing. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and Vuskovic is like also much more technical than people I think realize. Like, really good with the ball at his feet.
A monster in the air as well. Like, I would be thrilled. But anyway,
yeah. So hoping Solet gets done. And the last thing quickly here, 2-1-0 wins as we're speaking. The Greece-Italy game ends. 2-1-0 wins. Who scores the goals in both of those wins for this new look Italian national team, which this is not the Italian national team. We understand that they called up all the youth and gave them the opportunity. Loved. Yep. Inacio called up.
Yep.
That's what we wanted. That's what
we were
pretty
much
for.
Done. We want like honestly, like that's going to be the duo for years to come of a Pio Inacio front line. I'm all for it.
You got the opportunities for Ahanor, Luca Lipani from Sassuolo, who I really am starting to really enjoy his game. I think there's a really good player. I think he's like Brian Cristante should not see the Italian national team if a Luca Lipani exists. Like that's for me how I see it.
That is such a fair and accurate statement.
Yeah, it's and it's good. It's good to see those players, get some run out. I don't think Comuzzo really needed to be starting in there, but you have like Chiarodia. So it's a fun look team, but of course Pio Esposito is the one banging in the goals. A certain Serie A commentator in shambles. All right, before we get into...
I am happy that Sharon Dor got minutes as well.
Yes, I'm a Sharon Dor guy.
I am a fan of his as well. Happy that he was able to play for this club, and I think that he's gonna continue to grow and develop his game, and I think if Fiorentina is the right place for him to do that, I would definitely be excited to see what develops there with Endor. So. Anyway, with that, with the national team and seeing these young guys being able to get those key minutes, I think it's huge. Like obviously Pio had already had the experience going through the playoffs for the World Cup. Now you get these young guys who are just hungry. Like you want the youth to be able to step in, show what they're capable of, show what they're able to do. Silvio was able to give these guys their chances. Some guys didn't look like they really fit. Like I think Luca Coglioscio was one of the guys that I wasn't really, truly impressed with. But they're still young, and I'm hopeful that some of these other guys are able to get minutes. I was actually surprised that Coyote didn't get called up. That might have been the only thing that I was a little like, why not? It would have been good to see him. But maybe Silvio kind of like knew like, hey, I already know what I have in Coyote. Like he would be a part of my team or something if I were, to really step into this role. And maybe that, maybe that was like conveyed to the player. But regardless, I do think that it's great to see, these young guys getting this chance and to show their hunger. And 2 clean sheets is nothing to sniff at, whether it's Luxembourg or in Greece. Like I understand that, but like we had been leaking goals, and for these young guys to hold their own and keep clean sheets, that's awesome.
We also forgot to mention the other Dortmund boys, Reggiani and Mane. Good to have them part of the side. Reggiani got sent off today, so there's that. And I was not able to see it because I was working, so I'm interested to see what exactly happened there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have Fubo, so I also was unable to see it.
All right, Johnny, do you want to kick off the awards, or do you want me to go ahead and get through it? This was Johnny's baby. Respect to him for taking care of this while I was down.
I'll kick it off. I mean, I think we both know already. Like, we don't have to. Do we really have to talk about MVP? We I think we both agree on who it is, right? The guy who won it.
Yes, yeah. So it is Di Marco, for sure. Yeah. Did you consider anybody else? And if somebody else was considered, who would it be?
So I did consider one other person. However, his second half kind of faded. It would have been Zielinski for me. I really do think that he was more instrumental than people give him credit for. The outside bangers, the winner against Juve, like that. I think, when you come up big against rivals, that is worth something to me. And he just continued to just strike the ball so cleanly, so calm under pressure. I feel like his first half was unbelievable. And then the second, not that he faded, but it just wasn't, what Di Marco was doing in the second half, really. Like it just, and he wasn't scoring as often in that second half, aside from the Juve game, really.
And then the other midfielders also found their influence again. Like Hakan got better.
Like Hakan and Barella both. So not that he, wasn't still instrumental, but Di Marco was the obvious one for me.
Yeah. I mean, you always look at like top scorer, Lautaro. I considered Hakan as well, Akanji as well. But I think at the end of the day, all of those other guys, at some point they like missed time or they experienced a stretch where they like had a dip in form. Di Marco was like really consistently good all season. He was there all season. If he missed time, it was very little. So yeah, it's just like one of those things where it's really hard to argue. He was the MVP of the league. He's the MVP of the team for that season. I'll do the next one. So okay. biggest flop. So when you put this together, did you mean new signing that flopped or did not do enough, or was it like team flop? Because we also have letdown.
Yeah, I was gonna say for new signing that's what I was going with. So
okay, easy for me. It's Luis Enrique. Juve contended for this at some point, but he also found his way. And like you can be excited if he's still on this team next year. You can find ways to get excited about it. Luis Enrique, the only thing that you can really buy into is like, if he plays cutting in as a wing back on the left-hand side. But it's still like a lot of disappointment, despite the fact that he was part of like a run of 13 wins. He played a lot of games. It's just that the things that you were hoping to see when he was signed, you didn't see any of it. It's like he completely became timid, and you wanted him to just like take guys on the
Yeah.
right hand side, and he didn't do any of that. So for me, this one's a pretty easy one.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same one for me, right? Like, I mean, really, it was only 3 actual signings, I think, like that actually were playing key minutes for us. I mean, I guess you could throw in a Kanji, but I didn't know, like, if that was, like, to me, that was a loan, and obviously he didn't flop anyway, is what I'm saying. So he's the obvious answer. Like you said, Andy Juve could have been a contention, but found his game, really came on strong as a right wingback, and like when he was, thrown out there, and his ability to take on his man and willingness to do it and not being afraid to make a mistakes. I think that's something that young players need to be comfortable with. Like if you fail, that's fine. Just, learn from it. That's really it. And he would make a mistake or misstep a dribble or misplay a pass, and he would, put in an effort to win it back or something. And it's Luis Enrique though.
Could someone make an argument at all for Boni? The expectations were high, and he did a lot of good.
It's just because the price tag. I mean, because my expectations were not really high for him.
I thought characteristically he had some really exciting things, and I also think he did some really exciting things, and that's why he doesn't get the flop for me. But I also was thinking through this, and like, were Interisti disappointed with the effort at times? Like, yeah. And deservedly so.
I mean, that's definitely fair. Like, I mean, I was certainly disappointed with the effort with him in certain games and the unwillingness to press, especially when you're playing alongside Lautaro, who is pressing nonstop and trying to, suffocate defenses. Like, why aren't you up there with, like, you're allowing that defender to have an outlet because you're not pressing. But again, like, I do think that he did have positive impacts way more than Luis Enrique. So yeah, it never really crossed my mind. And I actually did forget him as one of the signings too. So
it's fair. You're up.
Yeah, I mean, biggest surprise was the next one. For me, like, it was honestly Pio Esposito. I really didn't have high expectations. I had high hopes, but to me, hoping is different than an expectation. Like, he came on, scored big goals. Never shied away from the moment when he would miss, open nets or stuff. Like, he never stopped shooting, which, like, I mean, you can kind of look at Dion Waiters, when he had that, like, famous quote about being 2 for 19, and they were like, what did you think of that? He's like, well, I wasn't afraid to stop shooting, like. And that's kind of the attitude I liked out of Pio. But again, he was also one that would press, would try to, do everything else that he can if he wasn't having an impact on the score sheet. The effort was always there. The attitude was always there. Scoring a big goal against Juve as well made me like really fall in love with him. Yeah, and the celebration is always nice. The flexing, like, for being a young player and being able to, kind of cement yourself as the third choice striker, or really the first one off the bench, however you want to look at it. It was a pleasant surprise, thrilled with it, and I hope that he continues to develop. Clearly he's still in good form with the way he's playing for the national team. I hope that he just continues to move it forward and just take his game to what I think he can become, is like a Christian Vieri level, finisher, and maybe not have the same technical abilities that Vieri had, but I do think in terms of finding the back of the net, he could develop into that.
Yeah, he didn't look enough like a 20-year-old throughout the season. He looks like a 35-year-old target man that, has been in Serie A forever and just like swallowing up the opportunities and moving forward. So
the only complaint I have with him, I think he goes down too easily.
Yes.
Like, you are a physical specimen. Fight them off, hold them off. If they really want to get to you, they will foul, and it'll be obvious calls. Don't just because somebody, hits your calf, go down and make the ref like, come on, like, like tell you to get up. Like, that's my only complaint.
Never did that.
No.
Dzeko never did.
You had to drag Dzeko down. Like, yeah. I mean, you go look at videos of him at Wolfsburg, back to goal, just holding off like center backs. I mean, like, literally holding them off and turning and shooting. And like, obviously it's still like it carried on at Man City, Roma, all that. Like, he was an absolute beast. And I since he's such a fan of his, I hope that he would maybe go back. I don't think he was even alive when he was playing at at Wolfsburg. I mean, he was, but it feels like he didn't get to see that. I wish he would go watch that film though, and look at the player and just be like, okay, that's how it's got to be done.
So Pio's also, would be my pick. I'm going to switch it up for the purposes of the exercise here. I thought about Zielinski, but it can't be surprising because we all knew that this was what the player was capable of, and he should have been doing this last year. I think I'm going to go with Bisek. And I think the surprise is I didn't expect Acerbi to find himself completely relegated from the team after how well he played last year in favor of Akanji and Bisek together. I think Bisek surprised as a center back and did really well there. And then I thought he still had some mistakes, but he was much more consistent this year. I think he's taken a step into, he's 25 now. At a minimum, if we're going to sell him at a minimum, it's going to be for 40 million. And so I think that's a big leap forward, and it's a surprise. I wasn't expecting him to have as just consistently good of a season as he did have. So that's what I'll go with for biggest surprise. All right, breakout player. So I think this is reserved for younger players that come up or a new signing you weren't expect to do whatever. I thought about could you consider Josep Martinez a breakout player if he goes from not really starting all year to it looks like he's going to be the number one for Inter next year. But I'm going to go with a guy that we believed in from day one, but I still consider a breakout, Sucic. The way that he finished this season, it's hard to imagine that guy should not be starting for your team next year. The way that he finished the season is this guy is a beast, super, super high potential, was reaching what he could be at the end of the season. So I'll make him the breakout player, especially because there was a period during the year where we're calling him a flop. But he finished super, super strong. And the goal against Como is we have the Coppa Italia because of what he was able to do, the heroics in that game. Not only just the goal, but also, the assists as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was my pick too. To me, it was so obvious, just especially with the people who were just talking trash to me, and just being able not to feel to feel vindicated, of course, but it's you guys are idiots if you didn't see the potential in this player. I'm sorry, if you looked at Petar Sucic and you had problems, or you were oh, he's not Inter quality, especially a lot of Italian Inter Twitter was saying the same things, that that they should cut ties and move on. I don't know. I feel people don't remember how Kovacic started at Inter either. It wasn't all roses with him. It was a little bit of a learning period. Same thing with Brozovic. Brozovic was even worse. He looked like he was on his way out.
Yeah. He was getting booed
badly, and deservedly so. The effort wasn't there. The attitude was terrible. And then whatever Spalletti was able to do with him, it clicked. He unlocked him. And Sucic honestly looks like he's going to be the best of the bunch, to be, completely fair. And he's the youngest one. Well, I guess actually Kovacic was, but all right. He's the youngest one that's actually going to be playing and continuing his time here. It'll be, great to see how he develops this summer. I can't wait to really watch. He might be the one player I'm going to be focused on at the World Cup, to be quite honest. Just because
I get nervous. I get nervous.
I mean, yeah.
I could easily see him lighting it up.
I mean, I kind of said it tongue in cheek to Sharma. I was like, he's going to be team of the tournament, in my opinion. Because
that would be a scary thing for Inter, though. You almost want him to fly under the radar.
You do, but I really don't. I want people to see how good he is and actually appreciate him. I don't want teams to come in with offers. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I want him to be, and you know what? I will say the player, his agent has said that he loves his time at Inter. He wants to continue his time here, saying all the right things. So it's like, all right, even if he does perform well, we're going to be good, at least for another season. He is a guy that I do want to see for many years. By the way, we kind of sidetracked, but I think you and I need to try to plan a trip to Milano in January.
Okay.
Because my birthday is the 15th. Inter play Juve on the 10th.
Okay.
I want to actually buy all 3 kits anyway, and I'd rather do it there and bring them back than pay for, the tariffs and all that stuff, which is like $80. It's insane.
Yeah.
But like, I do want a Sucic kit. I need a Lautaro kit. And I think depending on, it'll make it easier if he's not here, but depending on if Stankovic is here or not, it's either going to be him or Pio for the 3rd. But anyway, I do want him to continue to develop here, and I want him to have a good tournament. I think that'll be great for his confidence going into next season as well, and especially doing it for a country like Croatia. We're all going to be rooting for Lauti to have a good tournament as well. Between the two of them, I'm trying to think like who else. Well, Zielinski's going to be there. Hakan's going to be there.
Is Zielinski going to be there?
Is he?
I don't know if Poland.
Oh, did Poland not make it? Or maybe
I think so. No. Hakan's going to be there. I mean, they failed to qualify.
Okay.
I'll root for Dumfries.
That's right. They lost to Sweden, right?
Yep. Bonilla is going to be there. Thuram is going to be there.
Thuram, I don't think he's going to be able to do much. It's just because of that what they have in attack. It's, he might just get some garbage time minutes. Bonnie would be interesting to see, what he's able to do.
The thing with international summer tournaments is that they tend to fetch the highest of the high when it comes to transfer fees. Like, you do well on the international stage, especially a World Cup. We've seen it every single year. Like, someone shells out, someone gets excited. You have like a Manchester United that decides to spend, like 90 million on, and I think Sucic and Bonny are like, as fans, we worry about it, but I also think like Beppe and Auxilia are like, yeah, I love an international tournament. Go kill it. And then somebody
I'm
throws...
okay. Listen, if Bonny kills it and somebody wants to offer, 50, 60 million for Bonny, I'm cool with that. Like,
I could see 70. I could see 70.
Yeah, because it is hard to find young attack that is, good. He is strong. He is great technically. I would much rather that be the sacrifice than Alexander Stankovic. But yeah, like it'll definitely be interesting to see, what happens there. Obviously, you don't want to lose a guy like Sucic, but yeah. So we got 4 guys there: Lauti, Thuram, Sucic, Bonny, and Hakan. So 5.
I'm counting Dumfries as well.
That's fair. He's not.
Just
Listen, he's not there.
Root for him to have a nice
I don't
tournament.
see him. By the way, I do think I might want to get a Real Madrid, Dumfries kit. I don't know.
I mean,
might want to mess around. I never wanted to. I am going to be rooting for him. I really am.
Akanji is there too.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Swiss, and you always forget the Swiss.
Bisek did not make it,
which is crazy. But
yeah,
but Bayern Munich are still interested. So
we'll see what happens there.
Yep.
All right, you're up.
All right, so yeah, biggest letdown.
This is like bang on.
I mean, wait. All right, I'm kind of curious.
This is easy.
Sommer, right?
Of course.
Okay, all right.
The drop off is like completely unprecedented.
Yeah. It's did not expect it to be that hard, that fast, but it did make it easy to see Pep Martinez get his opportunity. He took it and ran with it. Especially given his hard season. I mean, more on a personal side than an actual playing side. But he was able to overcome everything. Listen, thank goodness he did, because with Vicario being the rumored replacement, that would have been a massive, honestly, backtrack in my opinion. I'm actually excited because there's rumors he might be going to Juve. That would be fantastic. Or even Emi Martinez, who, listen, I hate him, and I think that he's not as good a shot stopper as people think he is. Penalties, fine. Like, I'd be worried. If Hakan had to take a penalty against him, I would be nervous. But in terms of actual shot stopping in a game, I think we would be okay there. So either one of those guys would be great. But yeah, Sommer, the regression was honestly, it was probably more of a steep decline than Handanovic, if you really want to like look at it.
Without
Like the guy,
question, because it happened like that. It was
yeah, like the guy
out
was
of nowhere.
massive for us last year. Like outside, what was it? The game against Roma where he did that crazy, like hung in the air and pulled his left and was able to hit it with the right. Like that was like the only like good save that I could, recall from him all season. But I could tell you every poor goal that he let in and every, lack of effort on opportunities, specifically the Juve game which ended in a loss for us. Those were 4 goals that really he should have saved.
Yep.
Yeah. So like that was just the most obvious one.
The letdown part of it for me is like, it's not even about how hard he fell off. It's 2 things specifically. One, that his performances cost us in those big games. You know how Kivu couldn't win a big game? It's like the Juve game was like on him against Milan, like pushing the ball right out to, I forget who scored. Was it Salamakers or whoever it was? Like that's on you, dude. Like you failed in the big games, but then it's Kivu can't win a big game. That's a big letdown for me. And then the other part of it is like, if you were average, we would have wrapped up the title in March. If you were average. But you were fucking bad. Like really, really bad. That like compilation legit of him trash. Spilling of him, he was like the other team's best weapon. The rebound control, he put it right on them. It couldn't have been easier. So he's easily the biggest letdown.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the last one, I thought it was like just the best goal of the season.
With so many good ones.
I've got 2 in mind, but I want to hear yours first.
So the reason why I'm going with this is because it's like a super unique goal. We see strikes from outside the box. We see like, dribbles and stuff like that. Like I considered Hakan against Roma. I considered, Sucic against Fiorentina even. Like I just love that skill. But when do you see off of a corner Hakan to Zielinski against Verona, where every aspect of the goal, the ball that was played across the box was on a rope. It almost like defied physics, how perfectly it was driven across the box. And then Zielinski, like, not hesitating with it at all. It's like, oh, thank you for the genuinely perfect ball, rifled it right into the top corner, side foot from the top of the box. So potent. Like, to me, you don't see that goal ever scored. You see goals scored direct from corners, but not like that. Not like that. That's the goal of the season for me.
I would agree. Yeah, the Hakan Roma one was the other one I was considering. Sucic against Fiorentina was a good shout. I forgot. Not that I forgot. I just knew it was early in the season, so it wasn't like fresh in memory. The Roma one, stroke of halftime, we weren't looking good. People are already doubting and being negative and like, oh, here we go, we can't win a big one. And then we just, that just flipped the whole tie on its head, really. But yeah, the fact that it was voted the 3rd best goal of the year, according to Paramount, I was like, how can you? So the one that eventually actually did win best goal was Bonazzoli's goal against Milan, the bicycle.
The first day of the year.
And I'm like,
come on.
I'm like, come on, bro. Like that wasn't like, I've seen that goal 100 times. I remember Marco Materazzi doing it twice in one season back in like 07, 08, like, and he was a center back. So like, let's be real here. You never see, like you said, the ball that Hakan plays, you could almost see that there's like backspin on it. And it's just floating in the air like perfectly. And the way that Zilu just opens up and boom, just side foots it, top corner, like a missile off his boot. Like it was disgusting. And like in the rain, like it just didn't make sense. Or I think it was raining. Wasn't it raining?
It might have been.
It looked like it was raining to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was just fog. Like the picture looks.
Dreary day.
The picture looks sometimes from Italy. Anyway, yeah, that is the easy one. And then
the goal that gets the biggest pop for me of the year was Zielinski against Juventus. Obviously, that's the most like spine tingling goal of the year for me.
The thing I love too is the way he like just casually like drags it with his right foot behind his left, opens up and just fires it with his left. I'm like, who thinks to do like? I feel like the most normal player would like stop it with his left, drag it with his right over to give him a little space. But like, he was like, no, I'm gonna just like make this look very pretty. And he beats it kind of gets lost through traffic, is able to beat Diego, who was moving to his right. It goes left, and he was like, you just see the look on like, Diego knew he was beat. Shout out that former Interista. He did his best for us to allow us to win that game. But yeah, it was easily the Zilu goal against Hellas.
Lots of good ones to choose from. All right. Team of the season time.
Yep.
So I did mine in, I guess we'll announce it here. The first episode of Scout Society.
Oh, you did it there. You should have told me to do it there. I'm upset now.
I did it there. The first episode of Scout Society is going to be this Wednesday, heading into a World Cup. It will be a tutorial video of how to use the platform. Plus, we're going to pick a player from each of the groups that we're going to be scouting for the summer. That'll be the first episode of Scout Society. We'll hopefully bring them to you every single week throughout the summer. So I've got my team of the season here. I'll go ahead and share it. Do you want to go... Let's see. Do you want to go position by position, or do you want to do... How do you want to do it? We'll run through the full team.
Yeah, this... so you did a 3-4-1-2. Okay.
Yeah. I'll just run through the full team. So
yeah,
I did this a little bit kind of differently. I wanted to include players from the teams that, finished higher up in the pitch in the standings. That's why you'll see a certain player here in defense. I also, was kind of constricted a little bit by formation. I tried to like say who were the best 11 players and then fit it into a formation that made sense, but that wasn't working. So here's what we're looking at. Lautaro Capocanoniere. He goes up there for me, and I put Malin up there despite the fact that it was half a season. He was one of the best players in Serie A, like
without question.
I wish he didn't make those comments that he would have been Capocanoniere if he was here for the whole year, because I don't know. That's kind of like not a good thing to be ribbing the actual Capocanoniere and saying that he would be, but
who was also injured for a big part of the season too. It's not like yeah. Anyway,
exactly. Nico Paz behind them. I thought he was immense to start the year, and he kind of fizzled out towards the end of the year. But regardless, like we saw a super, super talented player that, frankly, like I had Leao as potential MVP coming into the season. Nico Paz did everything that everyone told me Leao was gonna end up doing. So for me, he gets into the team. My midfield is Hakan because of the sheer importance of some of his moments and some of his goals. We look at what he did against Roma. When he finally got back from injury down the stretch, he was huge for Inter. So he gets into the team for me. I thought Modric was immense in his first season. I obviously, Milan as a team sucked, but Modric adapted to the league immediately. And he was like one of the only bright spots. Serie A MVP out at left wing back. Breakout star of the season out at right wing back. So Di Marco and Palestra. And then defensively, Napoli finishes second. I felt like I had to include a player, so I put Rachmani in there. I thought he was good. If would he be in there if I didn't feel like I had to include someone from Napoli? I'm not totally sure, but I think he had, decent enough season to include it to the team. Akanji obviously, came in and became incredibly crucial for Inter. So he gets at right center back. And then I put Solet, who I thought was brilliant all year. And then Svilar is, for me, the best goalkeeper in Serie A, hands down. So that's my Serie A team of the season.
So, all right, let's go with everything that I agree with you on, just so I'm not repeating. I agree with Svilar. He's in my team. Solet's in my team. I actually don't have Rahmani or Akanji. I've got Chacobo Ramon and Evan Indika. I thought Indika was incredible this season. Probably the only, well, besides Svilar, but I mean like outfield player from Roma that I actually really enjoyed watching and appreciated. That's the guy that I would have put there. Palesta and Di Marco, obvious. My midfield is different. I actually, instead of Hakan, for my team, I put Zielinski. I thought that he was just massive this year. I thought that he was like I said, I thought I had him in my running for MVP for Inter. And then instead of Modric, I actually did put Scott McTominay, even though he did have like a down year compared to what he did last year, where he did win, MVP of the league. I still think it was a fantastic season. And even with the formation difficulties and struggles getting him and De Bruyne in the lineup together, I feel like it did take away from his effectiveness. He was still effective, and he did score big goals against us as well. And that's a guy I kind of wish that
too.
Yeah, he did run his mouth. He's still a guy I would like to steal from them, because I do think that he is a good player. Nico Paz, I have him right there behind the two forwards, and same thing with Lautaro and Malin. I did almost throw in Duvikas in there because I do think that he is a decent player. I thought that he had a really good year. However, he did get outscored by Malin, who did come in January. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Malin still has the same impact in a full season in Serie A now, as opposed to, kind of being under the radar coming in when, teams may not have really expected much from him in terms of game planning. But yeah, and then for manager, I think, I mean, not that we had planned this, but it's the guy who won the league. So
Kiva was the best.
Kiva was the best. He won every game he was supposed to win. The games against Como where it looked like he wasn't going to win, he still won those. Fantastic job, really. And I think that if he had played Josep Martinez the whole season, we might have only had realistically one loss probably on the year. And I'm not just saying that. I do think that we really won the only game that I think was we were kind of actually outplayed and they did deserve was the Udinese game really early in the year where they won, and we did throw everything at them at the end and they hung on and won that game. So I think we could have played that game for 270 minutes and we would have had a hard time breaking them down with just how organized they were early in the year. And I think how just knew the tactics were for this team to really get to gelling there. So yeah.
He also did something outside of the tactics. He revived a team that was mentally broken in a way that I don't know how many other examples you could find. I'm sure you can find some, but in football history of a really, really shot and devastated team. And he saved them. So yeah, I would 110% agree. Also on the Malin front, if you told me we were selling Thuram tomorrow, I think a Lauti Malin duo up top would feed families, absolutely dominate.
Is that who I would want? I mean, just to be different. And really, I guess Malin would be, because the guy I'm thinking of, health would be a concern because he does get injured often. But I kind of would love to have seen, listen, when he was coming up, there was ties to him coming to Inter. He didn't eventually when he did leave Sampdoria, but Patrick Schick is still a guy that I think can do work, and I think if he was able to stay healthy, that would be a guy that I'd be interested in. I remember, he used to cook us at Sampdoria, and he had a few good goals there. I was upset when he ended up going to Roma, but
he was Šeško before Šeško was Šeško.
That's a good one. That's a good shout. Yeah,
great left foot too.
Incredible left foot. Yeah.
Okay. Good to be back in the booth.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Happy to have you back in the booth.
Yeah, that was an extended layoff, but I feel like this is just what I needed to get back in the saddle here. So, yeah, we'll see you guys on Wednesday, and then we'll do Scout Society as like a, our conversation about the World Cup, because hopefully you guys want to hear what we have to say about the World Cup, and that'll be where we can really get some good scouting done, which is the only really big tournament going on during the summer. And then for interviews, we'll do Mercato episodes maybe bi-weekly, and then the Scout Society stuff every week. I think that's the right way to do it.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right. In the words of the great Roberto Scarpini, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi.